Alright, let's get started. Today we're going to be making a mess with ink. We're going to start with Diamine Ancient Copper, if I can get the camera to focus. Focus. What if I do this? Whatever. You can see it's Ancient Copper. And Aurora Borealis, also Diamine. And we will be using these fun little graduated vials that I got from the internet. And I say the internet because I have no idea where they came from. I don't remember. I'm not a memory person. This is graduated by the milliliter. We're going to start with 2 milliliters of Ancient Copper, which I will load up using one of these blunt-tipped syringes. And then we will see what happens adding Aurora Borealis. We will be adding drops to the 2 milliliters of Ancient Copper. I am hoping to produce some sort of a fun brown ink. And of course I have my little wood block. Walnut and oak, properly stained with ink, that I'll be using to hold that little vial. Let's swap these out to keep it more in the middle. This focus is really something today, isn't it? Bopping in and out. There we go. Let's try to just fix the focus and see what happens. I don't know why this is here. This is a Mahjong P140. I love this pen. This is one of my newest acquisitions. It's a fun color that a specific Esterbrook pen that I love and have been considering spending entirely too much money on. But I love the look of this pen, the color, the weight, the way it writes. It has a fantastic nib. But this is the pen that I am interested in highlighting today. This is an Aspine C80 with a stub nib. It is loaded with the only brown ink that I own, which is Colorverse Coffee Break. This is a lovely ink. So I'm going to start by loading my Ancient Copper into my vial. You see how fun that is? And it's going to take a couple of shots here. I get about, I don't know, maybe half a milliliter per plunge. This is probably capable of holding about 1 milliliter of fluid. But I never managed to fill it up all the way. As you can see, this is as full as I managed to get it. I'm not going to use all of this. I'm just using enough to get to that. Yep, okay, maybe it's half a milliliter. But now at that 2 milliliter mark, I'm going to take my dirty blunt nose syringe and put it aside, because my next step will be load a couple of drops of Aurora Borealis, and for that I don't want to stick a blunt nose syringe filled with Ancient Copper into my bottle here. I want to use a clean one. The nice thing about these is that they disassemble into 3 parts. So if you have an ultrasonic cleaner, this comes out, I promise it does. I'm not going to pull it out because my hands are old and arthritic. But if you have yourself an ultrasonic cleaner, you can disassemble this, throw it into your ultrasonic cleaner, and really do a pretty good job flushing it out. You don't even have to fully disassemble it. If you have like pen wash, if you make yourself some pen wash, that'll work well. But that's a whole other topic for another day, which I've probably already rambled about. Let's keep things moving forward. We'll get my blunt nose syringe into this Aurora Borealis. Barely any in there. I'm going to plunge it again because that's not very good. It still doesn't seem like... you know what? I think... There we go. This one needs to be greased, maybe. Been washed one too many times without greasing it. And use the same grease that you would use on a piston-filled pen such as this when you disassemble it and thoroughly clean it. Or, these are cheap enough, and while I don't advocate just throwing out stuff, they're cheap enough where you might want to just take that route. So now I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put a couple of drops in here. I'm aiming for something around the 10 to 1 ratio, 10 parts Ancient Copper to 1 part Aurora Borealis as a starting point. I think each dribble I get out of this is approximately 0.1 milliliters. So I'm going to drip. I'm going to start with 2 drops. What, 3? Okay, we'll do 3. Alright. I'm going to cap this. And then we're going to swatch it. Yeah, there's probably a nicer way to do that, but we are not a high-tech operation here. So, we're going to start with Ancient Copper Aurora Borealis. I'm going to say 2 ml. And I'm going to say 2D for 2 drops. And we're going to swatch this and see what happens. I'm going to use the advanced tool of the Q-tip. This is peak human technology right here. Dip it in there. And let's see what happens. What color is this? Still very copper. More copper than brown. Let's see if I can move this down into the light a bit better. And I think I need to increase the brightness here so you can really see it. Yeah, there you go. Whatever. So let's respond to that by doubling the amount of Aurora Borealis. Oop, that's 1, right? We'll count that as 1. That's 2. And we'll cap this and see what happens. Now for context, I am also using amazing paper, and yes, that is sarcasm. This was on sale 2 for $1 or thereabout. It is garbage notebook paper. Can't get fancier than that. So here we still have 2 milliliters. And we'll call this 4 drops. Clean end of the Q-tip. Get down in there. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Still very coppery. So, considering, I think what we're going to do is add 4 more drops of the Aurora Borealis. Let's have us some fun. We're not driving. Why not, right? I really wish I had chosen to use a different one. This syringe needs some work. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4, oh, 5 you said? 5? Okay, you convinced me. And let's see what happens. Shaking it up. So let's update our skippity-doo. And this is still... Nope, come on, pen. 2 ml, and 9 drops. And it's definitely a bit more brown, but I think we can do better. I don't know what that was. We'll count that as 2. That's 3. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's what happens when you use something like this without taking care of it. It breaks. We'll just put that aside and pretend it didn't happen. What did we say? 7? This is the fun part where we forget what we're doing. And despite all my encouragement to document your mixes and blah blah blah, I screw up my own because I'm too busy rambling like a rambler. So we're still at 2 milliliters Ancient Copper, and we are at, we'll say what, 15? Okay, we'll say 15 drops of Aurora Borealis. Is that accurate? I don't know. Much browner. Alright, let's take a look at this Colorverse ink and see what we're aiming for here. I better cap this before I knock it over. The last thing I need is more ink-stained clothing. So, this is what we're going for. Something similar to that. And I think in order to get there, we're going to need to lighten our ink up a bit. And I don't want to reproduce the Colorverse Brown because I have an entire bottle of it. But I do want to do something fun with the brown ink. Why brown? Because it's autumn. And it's nice autumn color, I think. And I think what we're going to do is lighten it up with something funky. Nope. I know you're in here. There you are. This is Jinhao Neon Yellow, a color so offensively highlighterish that I've come to absolutely love it. So, let's see what happens. I got my Q-tips, got my blunt nose Skippity-Doo, that's its technical name. Load a little of this up, and we'll see what happens when we add, like, I don't know, what, 3 drops you say? Okay, let's do 3 drops. Let's hold this in a way where I can control the plunger a bit better. Alright, that's about 3. Oh, and I broke this one too. Wow. Oh, goodness. Find the missing piece, put it to the side. Alright, let's cap this and see what it looks like. I think I'm going to be tripling the amount of this very light colored yellow ink. But let's see. Let's see what happens. Now, if you are actually interested in being really serious about this, there are a couple of things you can do to encourage mixing. You can get yourself some little ball bearings, put them in the bottom of this. You would want to do that, not at the beginning, but at some point before mixing it up. Why? Because having something physically in there will help mix it. Why? Because that's the way the world works. So I'm going to do Jinhao Yellow. We're going to do, what did we say, 3? 2 ml and 15 day. Alright. Let's see what we got. Definitely a bit lighter. I think we can do better. I'm going to keep this as 2 milliliters. And this is still at 15 drops. Let's see what we wind up plunging into this mess now. Reattached its screws onto the end. That's an additional 5 drops. I'm going to take a moment here to fix this one as well. Again, it just screws on the end. It just came unthreaded, basically. Other things that you can do to mix things a bit more thoroughly. There's actually lab equipment you can get relatively inexpensively, secondhand, through eBay. You can even buy new through Amazon. It's like a plate with a pellet that you drop inside of a vessel, and the plate will spin the pellet. I forget what it's called. It's been 20... What year is this? 27 years since I've used one. So, you know, whatever. These things do exist. So that's somewhat lighter, but I want it to be lighter still. So let's go to town. 1, 2. Wait, okay, that's really 1. That's an additional 8, so that's 17 drops. Now, with the drops that I'm dropping, I think it's actually is roughly equivalent to 0.05 ml. So I'm being very cautious with this. And it might be somewhere actually between 0.05 to 0.08 ml, depending on how healthy of a drop it is. Again, I'm not using any kind of graduated syringe. I'm not carefully measuring anything. I am just some stranger on the internet who's making a mess. For fun. For giggles. And I laid that on pretty thick. Let's see if I just swipe it. Yeah. It's improving, but I want it lighter. So we're going to add, what, 5 more? Seven more? Okay, well, you're the boss. In my mind, what I see is an ink that's roughly the color of the tea I drank this morning. And why did I drink tea this morning? I don't know. Let's see what we have here. It doesn't look that much different. I mean, in person, you can see a clear distinction here. But I don't know if that's translating to the camera, and if it doesn't, well, that's alright. I'm having fun, and that's what I care about the most right now. So, I'm not happy with this, so I'm going to really load this blunt nose syringe up. I'm going to dump it in. Oops. And let's see what we wind up with this time. Remember The Office? It's a kerfuffle of drops. Oh, that's much better. That's much more what I was looking for. But, guess what? It's still not there. Let's do another 6 drops. Eight drops? Okay, 8 drops, whatever. At this rate, I'm going to need more of this Jinhao Yellow. I've been using it so much to make ink abominations. And was it 8? Was it 6? Okay, we'll just do a question mark from now on. I don't know. What do you think? A little more Aurora Borealis? Okay. Why not? How much more? I don't know. We're leaving measurement behind. And let's see what we got. Let's see. Heavier. Quicks. Yeah, that's more what I was looking for. Can you see the distinction in that? Is that visible on camera? Do I need to lighten this a bit? Let's increase the brightness. No. I don't know. Maybe if we adjust the light a little. That's actually quite nice. It's a stage lighter than the Colorverse. And it's got some nice shading in there, which is what I was looking for. Which means we have accomplished something. Now, this is a mix of inks from multiple manufacturers. And you may think, well, gee whiz, just load it in a pen and be done with it. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful about mixing inks between manufacturers because of the chemistry of the inks, which I cannot and will not speak authoritatively towards because I am a stranger on the internet and I accept liability for nothing. So I would suggest that you proceed cautiously if you are going to do something similar. I have a video that I put out about some do's and don'ts about mixing ink. I will link it in the description of this video. I think that is very pretty, very seasonally appropriate, but now we have to give it a name. And a poorly printed label, like this one. And what do we call this? Let's call this... Let's call it Fall... I should have my glasses on for this. Where's the space? Foliage Brown print. It's important to label your mixes, in part because it's fun, in part because giving things ridiculous names is part of the joyful experience. This vial was used for a different mix I had made and used and loved that we called the Call of Katpeki. There's a video on that somewhere. If I can find it, I'll link it. So these vials clean up pretty well. Alright, hold on. Put them glasses on. Oh, look at that. I can see all of a sudden. And we're just going to take this and we're going to wrap it around in a way that is marginally acceptable. Whatever. And let's write with it. And to write with it, we're going to do my Sailor Hakoro dip pen. I don't know if you heard that dog barking. She's an 11-pound Shih Tzu. This Hakoro has a fewed nib. Can you see that? A little heart on it, which means it loves being used for things like this. Alright, so that's it. That is Fall Foliage Brown, made from a combination of Jinhao Neon Yellow, Diamine Ancient Copper, Diamine Aurora Borealis, and hopefully that was fun for you. Remember, stay in school.